For decades, biblical studies operated like archaeology. Scholars dissected the text to verify authorship, precise dates, and the specific political conditions of the ancient world. But in 1973, Walter Wink argued that this historical approach had hit a dead end. He claimed the academic method had become bankrupt because it could catalog every fact without explaining its actual influence on the person reading it. This creates a gap in our understanding. We can track the history, yet we struggle to explain why these stories still change lives, inspire massive movements in painting and sculpture, and resonate across thousands of years. Treating the Bible as a collection of historical data leaves a vacuum. To understand its true power, we have to look at its effect on the human mind. Scholar Wayne Rollins sought to fill that vacuum by bridging the gap between rigid academic history and depth psychology. Rollins turned to the work of psychiatrist Carl Jung. Jung was uniquely positioned for the task. He was the son of a pastor, raised among clergy, but spent his professional life mapping the mechanics of the unconscious. Jung looked past the debate over historical accuracy. He suggested that the value of these texts lies in their psychological reality rather than their external dates or locations. Jung classified the Bible as an utterance of the soul, emerging directly from our internal psyche rather than external history. Reading it through this lens makes it a mirror, reflecting the hidden architecture of our own minds. By approaching the text as a psychological mirror, scholars discovered a dimension of Scripture that explains its universal human resonance. If the Bible is a soul book, we have to ask how it actually transmits its message into the mind of the reader. It uses the language of symbols, abstract numbers, geometric shapes, and primal images like a brewing storm, a desert, or a seed. In this mental cross-section, a symbol phases through the rigid filters of the conscious mind, settling into the unconscious. Bypassing rational defenses, it speaks directly to intuition. Jung believed these symbols act as psychological catalysts, living seeds carrying the potential for future development. Biblical symbols provide the delivery mechanism that connects our daily reading to our deepest unconscious potential. Beneath those symbols lies the deepest layer of the psyche, the archetypes. Jung defined these as universal, inherited patterns shared by all humans regardless of their culture or era. Biblical narratives are direct manifestations of these archetypes. They bring universal patterns, like the hero, the shadow, and the God image, into a form we can perceive. This timeline shows how the biblical journey of the hero, from departure through trials to return, matches the stages of human psychological maturation. The story maps the universal struggle to grow. Jung called the goal of this journey individuation, the process of becoming a fully integrated, whole person. Jung identified the figure of Jesus Christ as the psychological manifestation of the self, the archetype of wholeness. Reading about the self in the text activates that same dormant archetype within the reader. The enduring power of the Bible comes from this archetypal blueprint. Its stories naturally awaken our own inner drive towards psychological wholeness. This psychological framework does not replace historical analysis. It grounds the text in the tangible reality of the human psyche. To apply this, modern readers can use the method of amplification, treating biblical images as they would symbols from their own dreams. Practicing amplification involves linking a biblical image to your own personal memories, then comparing it to similar symbols found in global myths. Techniques like amplification turn the act of reading into an active dialogue with our own depths. This approach reveals a Bible that points radically inward. It functions as a tool to tutor the soul, designed to pull the individual out of mass-mindedness and toward personal clarity. Psychological interpretation shows that the divine and the human intersect within the deepest architecture of our own minds.